What's going on, people? Face the red. I just want to talk to you guys quickly, try and keep it short, about a player that I rate who doesn't get talked about. He's very unknown, he's still quite young, and as far as wonder kids go, I don't even know if he's classed as a wonder kid anymore because he's 20 years old, but he is a player that a lot of people just don't know about. I want to shine some light on him. I rate him highly, and his name, another reason why I want to talk about him as well, is because we're playing Ajax. He plays for Ajax. We as in Man United are playing Ajax in the Europa League final, or Europa Cup, whatever it's called now, Europa final, and it's it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a tough game. They've got a very young team, and a lot of players who are relatively unknown are going to have a lot of Europe's top team scouts, people in general, watching them. It's going to be an audience for them to showcase their talents, and the Dutch league being a league that isn't the strongest, always going to be susceptible to players leaving, even at a young age. We've poached not a lot, but we have poached some Dutch players, young players. Fosu Mensah, I believe he was from Ajax. We took him at 16, I think he was. Captain and hot prospect. So I believe we were trying to get another one earlier in the year. I forgot his name's hard to pronounce. Something like Deshaun Redden or Redwan. Young striker coming through, only about 16, 17, and I saw clips of him, he looked promising. Basically, anyway, the guy I want to talk about today is Abdelhak Nouri. He's quite young, not super young, but he is young. He's 20 years old. He has only just broken into the Ajax first team, and he's not a regular starter even. He's a player who plays some games but is often on the bench. I have watched him in the under-19s for Holland, and he's the captain, I believe, and he looked very good. He looks very good for them. So he's only played up to under-19 level. And he's 20. I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, he's 20. He should, if he was so good, he should really be pushing for. He should be in the Dutch, the Dutch team. Not just the under-19s or under-21s. But I'm gonna explain why I think he hasn't pushed through as quickly as some of the other young players in the Ajax setup. For example, Justin Kluivert, another talented player. He's only 18 and he's already made more waves in the first team. I think he's played 13 games to Nouri's 6 games in the Ajax first team. So, Justin Kluivert has kind of catapulted himself above a lot of players, and he's a hot talent as well. But I think Nouri is a special talent. I'll explain why. He's quite slightly built. He's small as well. I believe he's 5'7", and he's quite slightly built. I think he's from of Moroccan descent. Dutch, obviously plays for Holland, but Moroccan descent. So he's quite slightly built, and with these slightly built midfielders, I would call him a central midfielder, more of a deep lying, but also can get in the box, can do a bit of everything. But I would say he's a creator, a conductor, an orchestrator, something in the mold of a Modric, in the mold of an Iniesta. That's the type of player. I'm not saying he's on their level yet or anything like that, but I'm saying he's that type of player. Obviously, because he's quite small, he's been pushed out wide from time to time, left wing. He's fairly nippy. He's not lightning, but he's quite quick. And sometimes you get pushed out there, but really I see him as a central midfielder, conductor. His passing range is very good. His vision is excellent. He can spot a pass. If you give him the ball and make a run, he will find you. So he's very creative. His ball control is excellent. He doesn't lose the ball easily, and I believe he struggled to break into the Ajax team just because of the physical jump from under 19s youth teams to playing in the first team. Being only 5'7" and slightly built, it's always harder, and it takes longer for those types to generally make waves in the first team because of the physicality of it. And I believe that's why it's taken him longer. Nothing to do with talent, and nothing to do with the fact that other players are better than him. It's to do with that, I believe. If you look at something that Sir Alex Ferguson said about Jesse Lingard, he always said that he would begin to break into the first team when he gets to 22, 23 years old. Anyone who doesn't know about Jesse Lingard's a player who physically was very small. I remember watching him for the youth in our youth team, and he was very, very small. I personally didn't think he was gonna make it because of how small he was. Luckily, he got a growth spurt, and I think he's probably about 5'9" maybe now. So he's decent height. He's still quite slightly built, but that's just his body type. Players all have different body types. People all have different body types, and you got to work within your body type. And he's slightly built naturally. So that's why Ferguson said it will take him longer to break into the first team, and he was right. It did take him longer, but he did manage to do it. Obviously, some people don't think he's good enough, but that's another story. But he's got to a level where England. He plays for England and Manchester United, so he's done well despite being quite slightly built. And Fergie was right on that one. Other players who probably were in the same youth team probably broke through or made waves in their career earlier on, and he might have slowly passed them. It took longer because of that physical element, the lack of physicality that he had. I believe it's the same with Nouri. Physically, he's behind some of the players, but once he adapts, he will, I believe, surpass all of them. I'm even going to put my neck out and say I think he will surpass Justin Kluivert as well. People will think, people will call me mad, but I'm a man who, I'll make a statement early, so no one can say I jumped on a bandwagon. I'll make these statements now. I rate Kluivert highly. He's excellent prospect, but I think Nouri is something special. For the reasons I mentioned, basically he is a conductor, and we need a player like that, honestly. Someone who can, I'm not saying that he's ready, he's not ready at all to play for United. If we sign him, I would say we should loan him back to Ajax for the next season, because he's still got developments to do. But I think when he gets to 23, 24, he'll become a top player. He just needs to get a run of games, adapt to the physicality, and because the ability is there, and when you have got the ability, you can't stop someone with ability just because they're small. It's the ability will always shine through. If you look at, let me think. There's the Iniestas, but obviously Barca is built for, they don't care about size. Modric's another one. He's, it took him longer to really make waves, but he did it. Quite small and slightly built. Verratti is another good example. I think he's 5'5". Verratti, very small. I believe he's got to be one of the smallest central midfielders in world football. 5'5". Central mids, it's hard to make it. I know there's a couple wingers like Giovinco and Insignia who are maybe 5'4", a bit smaller or around that size. But to be in central mid and that size, trust me, I remember playing football, and obviously just in the park and whatnot, and when you're playing with bigger players, it's intimidating, and when you're in the middle of the park, it's even more intimidating because everything's around you. You're in the middle of everything, and it's very physical in the center. So you've got to be that much better than everyone else. Now Nouri is 5'7", so he's not that small. There are quite a lot of players that size. Paul Scholes was 5'7". He's a bit more slightly built than Scholes, but he's not too small. But I know Mourinho likes midfielders. He likes players that are physical. You know, he likes. I'm not gonna say Nouri is his type of player, because I don't really think he is his type of player. But I think we need someone like that, a conductor, someone with excellent technical ability. And I think a time to get him is probably now, while no one knows him, no one talks about him. He hasn't really made waves fully in the Ajax team. It's a gamble, because, you know, is he good enough? We don't know yet. We don't know if he's good enough. I'm just giving you my opinion. I think he's got the potential to be a top player. But this is what good scouting's about. You have to identify someone early and, you know, commit yourself to it and trust your scouts, or trust, you know, trust the people who are making that call. Again, I'm not saying I'm right at all. I could be totally wrong on this, but I'm just giving you my opinion. It's just my view, not facts. I think he's got great potential, and he's someone we should maybe look at. And if he does play for Ajax in the final, I don't believe he'll start. He might come on, but he won't start for sure. I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm not certain, but I think he won't start. But if he does play and he does do something special, all it takes these days is one game. You know, one game of, you know, doing something special, and the guy will be worth 25 million. You know how crazy it is these days. It's just nuts, you know. So I'm just saying, you got to identify people early sometimes, and just commit yourself and make a judgment call on certain players. Don't wait for them to always be the guy that's talked about and then you make your move, because then you have to pay, you know, 10 times the price that you could have paid a few months earlier had you know, committed. So yeah, I think Nouri, he's a promising player, very technical. The reason I found out about him, probably when he was about 17, I saw him on, there was a YouTube channel of, I can't remember the name, but there was a guy who used to upload a lot of Dutch young players. That's how I started getting into a lot of the Ajax youngsters, following what they were doing. I saw Justin Clive and people like that, and you know, I thought there's something special going on in Ajax, kind of like the old days when they had, you know, your Seedorfs, your Davids, Reisinger, Bogard, all them guys, Patrick Kluivert. So yeah, I mean, I followed that channel. I started watching videos. That's how I saw Nouri. He was 17, and because let's be real, I'm not going to be able to watch him in the Ajax youth team, being in England. It's, you know, it's not easy to watch those kind of games. Where do you find them? I started watching him. I thought, yeah, this kid, he's got something different. He's got that class that a lot of players his age don't have. That calmness, that composure. So yeah, I was drawn to him, and I kind of kept looking out for him. I was always checking the Ajax games to see if he'd play. He was never in the team. It's only recently that I've been seeing him starting and being on the bench. So I've been streaming some games and I've been watching him. There was a game recently where they won 4-0 and he started, and yeah, he's coming along nicely. He's starting to look the player that I thought he could be. So I'm just putting it out there. Abdelhak Nouri, I think, is a player that potentially we should be looking at for the future. Not a player for now and instant success, but one of those ones that maybe we should look at. Forget the fact that he's 20 and he hasn't fully broken into the Ajax team and isn't, you know, a Holland, a Dutch international. But, you know, let's just look at the talent and, you know, make a judgment call. Many people might say Kluivert, but anyway, let me know your views. I probably will call this maybe scouting for United. Maybe I'll upload quite regularly on some players. I'm gonna mention players that are out of the norm. Yeah, I'm not really gonna. If I talk about players, it's not gonna be part of this. If I talk about known players, very known players, or I'm not gonna put it as part of this Scouting for United series. I will upload that as just me talking about a player and whether we should sign him or not, or whatever. Because there's no point me going on about we should sign this player and giving you a review and my thoughts on it if he's known and he's out there and he's a big name and everyone's onto him. I don't see the value in it. Maybe it'll get you views and whatnot, but I don't really care about that. I'm not in this for views and shit. I'm just trying to, I want to just say my opinion, just keep it real. So yeah, that's gonna be the first name I'm gonna suggest. I've got a couple in mind actually as well, but I'll save them for another episode. So yeah, anyway, give me your thoughts. Do you know Abdelhak Nouri? If you're from Holland, what's your opinion of him? Or if you're especially an Ajax fan, you know about him. You'll know more than me about him probably. What do you think about him? Do you rate him? How's he? Is he rated in Holland? What are people saying about him? What about Kluivert? Is he? Should he be the guy? There's that Ziyech and all these guys. You've got a lot of talent there. Who do you rate in the Ajax setup or in Holland right now? What young players? There's another guy. I'm not going to embarrass myself and pronounce his name because it's peak. But the midfield player, young black player, Bazour. Anyway, however you say it, man. Another talented player. There's players anyway, man. Does he even play by? Yeah, does. Anyway, man, Abdelhak Nouri is the guy that I'm rating, and I'm gonna put it out there early. Anyway, I think I've been talking too long. I need to cut these down, seriously. Anyway, man, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.